Hey, what's up, guys? My name's Kyle Warner. This is a fun little interview I got to do with Paul the Punter down in Sedona during the Sedona Mountain Bike Festival. We kind of talked a little bit about his step into YouTube, creating the Pinkbike YouTube channel, what he's seen creators do well and do not so well over the years, and then kind of just a little bit more about him and his life story. And hope you guys enjoy this interview.
Actually, my first ever job was for a pharmaceutical company as a sales rep.
Oh,
so
how was that?
It was different to what I do now.
Yeah.
I had to wear a suit. I had a company car. It was pretty weird. But then I kind of got a bit miserable, and then I kind of went, well, bikes were fun. So I bought a BMX again, rode that, stopped going to work as much. Mm-hmm. And then I really wanted to get a job in the bike industry, and I ended up being a salesperson for Dirt magazine.
Okay.
So I even started off just with the retail stores, calling them up, trying to get them to advertise in the magazine.
And were you at this point a huge fan of mountain biking, or were you still kind of getting into it?
I was I was using websites like Pinkbike and stuff when I was 14.
Okay.
And I'm 32 now. So this was coming back into it, and everything had changed, and it was crazy. And then I was I got in touch with that friend that I went to stay with, mm-hmm. and got involved helping to dig the dirt jumps down in Surrey with them. Doing more digging than riding.
That's cool.
Which is probably why I still suck, because they were all really good. And I was well, what are you doing, guys? And they're like, oh, we're digging. It's oh, okay, I'll come and help. And then I led on to getting more and more people. I was one of the first people to get YT advertising in
Dirt magazine.
Yeah. So I did things like that, and then eventually, I worked there for getting on for 3 years. And then the last thing I did was this project called Ride to the Hills, mm-hmm. which was this they had a bunch of teams, there was DMR and Saracen.
I think I remember that, actually.
Yeah, so I came up with that.
That's cool.
Yeah.
It's kind of almost props BMX style
right?
It
was actually Ride BMX did this thing called Ride to Glory,
uh-huh.
which was pretty big. And then I was well, we should do that mountain biking. And then the dirt guy, Mike Rose, wasn't super keen on it, but then we got this random power drink sponsor that gave us all the money for it.
That's sick.
And I was wow. And I was actually on I was on a 3-week road trip around Europe at the time. And I was on the gondola going up Leogang when I got told it was confirmed. I was oh, sweet. But yeah, that happened the week I left Dirt magazine. Mm-hmm. It was happening. But I still kind of hung around because I decided that that I'd never really traveled anywhere or done anything. So I spoke to my mum, of all people, and she said, you should just take a year off. I said, okay. Then I ended up flying to Queenstown, and I worked at the bike park in Skyline.
I think that's what, when I was in New Zealand last year, Couscous said that he met you at Skyline when you were a lifty.
Yeah, so I was I didn't really know what I wanted to do, so I kept in touch with the guys at Dirt, James McKnight. He was doing a lot of the website stuff. And I said, James, I want to try doing an interview or whatever. Couscous is here, and I did an interview with Couscous.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, and I tried to take photos of him and stuff, and I look back and they were terrible photos, but at the time I'm whoa, these are amazing. And then got that published on the website. It was pretty cool, and I enjoyed that, but I never really followed through with it. But that's how I got to know so many people, all the races and everyone, and all the locals. And it was such a good time.
That's cool.
And then I went to Whistler after that, and I'd actually managed to save up some money, because you get holiday pay in New Zealand. So I'd accrued $2,500 just from working my job.
Oh, crazy.
And they give you this payout at the end. I'm whoa, okay. So I went to Whistler and was just full, I can do whatever I like, and went pieing and bike riding every day.
That's cool.
And it was mint. Yeah.
And how old were you during this whole period of time?
I just turned 27.
Okay.
So super late, really in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah.
But I'd made some non-mountain biking choices early on in my life, I guess. So I was trying to make up for everything that everyone had already done by this point. I was oh crap, I got to do it now.
That's funny.
But it all worked out.
And then what kind of drew you to going to Whistler? Just the riding?
The obvious, yeah.
Because you ended up working at Pinkbike, right? But was that part of the plan the whole time, or no?
No, I had no plan. I was just I'm going to go to New Zealand, then I'm going to go to Whistler and have a year of summers. And that's all I wanted to do. But then I got a job at the North Face store in Whistler, and I was just kind of stood there one day what am I doing? This is terrible. Mm-hmm. Had a quarter life crisis. And then, yeah, I just messaged Carl from Pinkbike one day and was like, hey, do you need anyone? I heard you kind of need someone. And then it kind of, that worked out, and I was doing ad sales in Europe.
Oh, cool.
For them. Yeah.
That's fun. Was that like something that was very similar to the path you had at Dirt?
Yeah. It was exactly
so
the
just same contacts
stuff.
and everything.
Yeah, but I thought it was going to be easy street because I thought I was going to walk up to everyone and be like, I work for Pinkbike, give me all your money. But there were so many people that had never heard of Pinkbike in Europe.
Really?
Yeah, it was crazy. Like, to me, it was like who hasn't?
Like
but,
brand managers and stuff too?
Yeah.
Weird.
I know, it's so strange. But then, like, I think that still rings true now.
Yeah.
Like, you talk to some people and like, oh, do you know about this? And they're like, never heard of it.
Yeah, they're like, what?
I'm sorry, what? Yeah.
Yeah, it's so weird, especially
crazy.
growing up with it, huh? Like, because I was the same boat as you, like 13, 14, just photo of the day, video of the day, every day. And
there was, and actually, I used to use this website called Southern Downhill, which is now called Ride.io.
Okay.
And it's like, Southern Downhill was like how you met people to go biking, right?
That's funny.
And the only way that you could share photos of like everyone's bikes was you uploaded the photos to Pinkbike.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how it was like. You had Southern Downhill, but then everything was just like links to Pinkbike. It was pretty funny.
Yeah, I was talking to someone the other day, and they were like, yeah, if you really think about it, Pinkbike kind of had all of the makings of Facebook, like pre-Facebook.
Yeah.
You know, like the forum, and then you have like all the photos and the video uploader and everything that they had going on at the time. It's like pretty ahead of the curve.
Yeah, they did. I mean, it did change a lot of things for sure.
Yeah. When did you start to take on more of a creative role at Pinkbike versus sales?
So I was there for 4 years. And then I guess in my third year, I was kind of like, I was living in Europe, and I like moved around Europe. Even like I was in a van for a while. I was just like driving around all the World Cup stops. Like I was there when Gwyn did his chainless run. And,
in Leogang?
Yeah. And just like saw loads of stuff and just like hung out with a bunch of people. But then I actually had a massive crash, like the biggest crash I've ever had. I was riding with Tracy Hannah and her mechanic Jamie in this place called Cephals Fisladis. That's where it was in Austria. And I had this massive crash, and I ended up spending a night in the hospital thinking I'd broken my back.
Oh no!
And but then they were like, "Oh yeah, you seem fine." But Austrian hospitals are amazing, by the way. If you're going to crash in an Austrian hospital.
Okay, good to know.
They're incredible. And then, but I had this massive concussion, so I just like stayed inside. But then I was in Morzine. I like stayed in Morzine, and then I was like, maybe I should just move here. So I moved to Morzine, thinking it was going to be like the answers to everything, but it wasn't. And I actually found it pretty miserable in the winter. And then I asked the Pinkbike guys if I could move to Canada, and they said yeah. And then
because they're based out of Squamish, right?
Yeah. And then because I was always like, I was just so happy in Whistler, like it was great, which I'm sure is the same for a lot of people.
Yeah.
But then and then it all worked out, and I moved over there, and I was still doing my job, and everything was like I could still do my job because I knew a lot of the people that I needed to know.
Mm-hmm.
So I just like, if I needed to make a call, I just get up really early and call Europe and whatever.
That's cool. And then you were kind of one of the first people to start like their YouTube channel too, right?
Yeah. So this was it. I first of all, I created my own job with the European sales thing.
Okay.
Because they weren't looking for someone, but I was like, oh, maybe I could do this for you.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, this was when like GMBN was really kicking off, right? And then you look at the numbers of like people watching the videos, and it was a lot.
Yeah.
And I was like okay.
Hundreds of thousands at the time,
yeah.
Right?
And like that's a lot. Like if any athlete wanted to get 100,000 views on their video, they'd step over their own mother to try and do it.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, I need to understand this, like what it is. So I watched a bunch, and I was like, okay, I kind of see what the formula is. And then one day I was in the office, and I just look on the sidebar, and there was this video. It was something like how to bunny hop, and it had something like 300,000 views, and it was by this channel called Seth's Bike Hacks. And I clicked on it, and this channel had 267,000 subscribers.
Yeah.
I was like, what is this? So I like asked around the office, like, has anyone heard of this guy? And I was like, no idea. And you go on, all these videos, hundreds of thousands of views.
Yeah, from a totally different audience than we'd ever touched, right?
From just like, and you look at, I was there like, why are people watching this? Like, this doesn't make any sense whatsoever.
Because you come from the background of like, it needs to be a shredder hitting sick
it needs
trail
to be Brendan Fairclough, it needs to be Brandon Semenek, like to get this kind of, viewership. It was crazy. But then here it was happening, and like hundreds of comments, and people just like so into this middle-aged short guy.
Yeah.
He won't mind me saying that. And yeah, and it just and then I was like, and then I found myself just watching all of his videos, and I was like, why am I watching all of his videos? Do you know what I mean? And that's kind of what happened. And then
were you still kind of in the space too, like where you were using some of the stuff he was saying as like help tutorials and learning, or you already had all these great resources around you? So is it?
Do you mean for my own like personal
Yeah, for
writing?
your own
Oh
personal-
no. Like I know how to do it. It doesn't mean that I can do it.
Yeah.
Like that's the big thing with me. Get into my skill level
Okay.
later on. But now I was just watching all these videos, and then I kind of found out, all the other YouTube people, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of identified that YouTube was this place where new mountain bikers were going. Like YouTube, if you want to do anything, like if you want to
Learn how to fix your plumbing.
exactly, or paint a wall in your house, you go to YouTube. Like that's what YouTube largely has been over the last few years. It's a resource for learning things.
Yeah.
So obviously people that want to start mountain biking, they go how to mountain bike or whatever in YouTube. And this was a way in a world where it's being dominated by social media platforms that are really how people find out about links to other websites. Like here was this whole resource that was a great way of meeting new mountain bikers digitally.
Yeah.
And
It's kind of like a home base in itself too, right? Like
yeah. And like this is how on a website what will happen is you'll have this amazing audience that's like this age, and then that generation will just grow up with the website, and then it will die off, and then you have no website. So that was always my like, okay, how can we keep new people coming into the website?
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, this is how you do it on YouTube. So I put, and then the guys were only uploading to the Pinkbike player. Like that was a big rule, right? You probably
I had that.
you
same
probably
rule,
come
yeah.
across this, yeah.
Yeah, back in the day, if you wanted to submit something to Pinkbike, it had to go through their media player.
Exactly, yeah. And then I was kind of like, well, look at all these platforms, we're going to get dropped. So I put this whole proposal together. Like, it took a long time to convince them. Then one day, Radek, who's like, the original founder, and all the development stuff, he just turned to Carl, his brother, and said, what do you think, Carl? Should we upload to YouTube? And then that was it. It was just like this short conversation after all this work.
Crazy.
And then, we started uploading to YouTube. And then
now it's like a massive channel for them, huh?
Yeah. I got it past 100,000. That was largely thanks to Ben Deacon. So for 2 years, I'd asked Ben to cover the Mega Avalanche.
Yeah.
Like, do a vlog basically from it. First year, it didn't do that well. Like it was probably pretty standard or whatever. So I was like, hey Ben, do you want your trip sorted for Mega Avalanche next year? He's like, yeah, sure. And then that was the year that everyone crashed into the corner, and it was like a big video. Anyway, Ben sent this video over. I did chop off quite a bit of the beginning bit just to get to the action. And then I made this thumbnail and title, which was it was called The Craziest Mega Avalanche Ever. And I found this perfect frame for the thumbnail, which was two people crashing. You could clearly see Ben was riding in snow, and then there was another rider on the right. And I was like, this thumbnail is perfect. Like, everything about this is amazing.
Yeah.
Anyway, click upload, it goes off. It never gets posted on the Pinkbike homepage, it just does whatever. Then during Crankworks 2018, so this was like my last month of leaving, all of a sudden we start to notice all these comments being posted on Ben's video, and I was like, oh, what's happening? And then you go onto it and you just see all the graphs are like whooping, and it was going viral, like actually viral.
Yeah.
Now it's on, I think it's almost on like 10 million views or something.
Crazy.
Which is a lot. And that really what drove a lot of the traffic. So just before I left, I reached my dream of getting the Pinkbike channel over 100,000 subscribers.
That's cool.
Yeah, and we done loads of other things. Like the what I was trying to do is create fans of mountain biking.
Mm-hmm.
So
get new people into it and have Pinkbike be the way that they got into it.
No, it's more like they go mountain biking, but then they have interest in the sport and the culture. So you can go mountain biking. You go mountain biking twice a day, but we want you to watch the racing. We want you to watch the slopestyle, all the videos, all the interviews. Like that's what I was trying to create. So one of the things that was a big thing in the content was getting pros involved in the videos and trying to make something that not relatable. I kind of hate that word at the same time, almost like influencer, but just making them more humanizing them really. So we did things how one of the things we did was how to ride like Sam Blenkinsop with Loic. Can
Oh,
you remember that
yeah,
one?
I remember that one. Yeah.
And that was funny. Like I was on the Pinkbike content creation train, which was like, you have this amount of time, like you make as much stuff as you possibly can in that time. So we did like a top to bottom lap with Loic where he answered some questions. Then partway down, I was like, oh, we should get like a how-to or something. And then Loic just stops and goes, what about how to ride like Blinky? And I was like, done. Yep. And then we just did it like in like one trail on Thundergoat.
That's funny.
And it was so funny. And then obviously it like
kind of kicked off a little series there for that too, right?
Some people were doing it like, oh, how to ride like Loic and all this
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah, that was pretty funny.
That's cool.
They just happened in the moment, like it was nothing.
And then when did you start to realize this could be a path for yourself?
So I would come up with an idea and I suggest it to everyone. And if generally I kind of got shut down or kind of said, oh no, this is dumb, I would just go and do it myself. Because here's the thing, I felt like I could understand what the content should be. I just couldn't go out there and film it and make it.
Like from a technical
Yeah,
perspective.
'cause I didn't know anything about cameras, I didn't know anything about editing. I actually have a degree in music, and the editing software is basically the same as composition software.
Okay.
Like, exactly the same.
When did you decide that this could be a path for yourself?
Okay, so I'd like come up with an idea, and if people either told me, no, this is stupid, or no, we can't make it happen, I would go, okay, I'll go and do it myself. So, like, the first one was the riding a warm-up bike in Whistler.
Okay.
So I like, from a YouTube technical standpoint, I like went, okay, this, join the dots. If we took a warm-up bike in Whistler, it would be a really big video. And then I got told like, oh no, that's not safe. Like, no, there's no way we do it. And it's like, okay, I'll do it myself. So that was like the first video where I was like, okay, I'm going to learn how to make a story in a video. And anyway, I put it up on my YouTube channel and I submitted it just like a normal person to the editorial. And I was like, yep, like I made this, like it'd be cool if you put it on. Anyway, and Brian, the head of editorial, was like, oh, I mean, yeah, we'll post it. Anyway, it got posted like 5th down on the homepage to start off with. And then in not that much time, it made it into the top 8 most read of the week.
Oh, really?
Yeah, which is so funny. Because it wasn't like spectacular. Like I rode a couple of black trails or whatever, but at the end of the day, I was really scared about it. But I think it was just like the story,
The concept, yeah.
Yeah, the story and the way it was told. I think was people enjoyed it.
That's cool.
A lot of people hated it as well.
Yeah,
But-
well, it's kind of one of those things where if it's divisive, then you get both sides of it,
Yeah,
right?
it was more like that. I was kind of came across apparently as like this posh person that wanted to see what it was like to be poor. That was like
Oh.
a general consensus. Anyway, I know like not to get involved with like crazy comments on Pinkbike, but then someone was like, because I gave the bike back at the end, which I said, oh, I probably shouldn't have done that, but it was so ridiculous that Walmart would take this thing back anyway. And I went on afterwards and I was like, yeah, because someone was like, oh, this guy's made $5,000 off this video, and I was like, well, actually, I haven't made anything off the video.
Yeah.
And then kind of I said, yeah, I shouldn't have done this. And then all the people that gave me crap then came back and was like, oh, yeah, sorry. Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, it's kind of funny how that goes, huh?
Yeah.
Like if you actually address it sometimes and people are like, oh, actually, sorry, dude. Like,
yeah.
you know.
Mike Levy is the best at addressing negative comments. He just agrees with everyone all the time.
Yeah.
It's so funny. He's just like, oh, yeah, tell me about it. And they're like, they have nowhere to go. He's the best.
That's cool. And when did you, so like with that video, you know,
And the other one I did was I said to everyone, we need to go and make a guide to the green trails of Whistler. And everyone's like, no, that's stupid. So actually, Whistler opening day, 2018. Yeah, 2018. I like went out after I'd done all my stuff and just rode every green trail, went back, put it together, and now it's on like 800,000 views.
crazy.
Yeah, and I hear like people tell me that they hear my voice around Whistler Village, and it's people watching my green trails video.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's so funny.
That's funny. Did you start to see like with the amount of views we're getting, and did you get monetized at that point and started to get some revenue?
Oh,
and you're like,
it took me like 6 months to get monetized.
Really?
Yeah.
to get that 4,000 hours of watch time,
No,
whatever.
I'd hit that in like the warm-up bike video basically.
Yeah.
Did it. And the funny thing was, I thought people were going to watch this video because obviously it's great clickbait, etc. But people actually were subscribing, and then that's when I got like shown the community of YouTube creators, and that's where I met everyone else. Like,
Yeah.
you know, I actually met Brian BKXC when he came to Whistler with Seth before I'd even done any of this, and then but just like the other ones, like, you know, yeah, they're all there. You know what I mean? I
Yeah.
don't have to list them all and offend people that I don't mention.
Yeah.
But I really liked this community, and it was kind of really enjoyable, and it wasn't salty. Like, it wasn't like the bitchingness that you do get in the core.
From pro athletes and stuff too.
Not pros, just in general, like the, this, whinge, and complain.
Yeah.
Everyone was just like, wow, isn't mountain biking great? And I was like, oh, this is so nice.
Yeah.
And I think that's what was really cool about it. And then I just started making my own videos, you know what? And and then I did a couple of other ones. Like, I wasn't really, I was too busy with Pinkbike and everything. And I was like,
to like fully commit.
Yeah, and I was like, I felt like I shouldn't focus on that. Do you know what I mean? Like, what if it overtakes what I'm doing my real job?
Yeah.
Then that's like a bit stupid. But I did a couple of others. Like, I did like a couple of my Whistler videos from opening weekend that did well. And then when this is a funny story. So I did this video with Secco and Sam Pilgrim. The night and day one. I don't know if you've ever seen that. So Sam's like riding down Kamloops, and he'll like do a jump, and then we'll flip the shot to nighttime, and then we'll flip it back to daytime, and it was really cool. And we spent like a week on it, like, I swear, like 18, 19 hours a day, like carrying stuff around. And Sam was, I'll say this, Pilgrim was by far the best pro athlete I've ever worked with.
That's cool.
Like, nicest guy. Always will just do whatever. Like, you can see why he's such a huge success on YouTube now.
Yeah.
'Cause he just gets on with it, and he's like, there's no bullshit or anything.
Yeah, he's like a inspiring person to be around.
Yeah, but he's not trying to be inspiring. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's not like doing motivational posts on Instagram. He's just doing it, which I think is great. But so that video. So at one point during that video, Secco was doing this time lapse of like this cool cloud or whatever, and he was getting really stoked on it. And I said to Sam, could I ride your bike for like 2 laps and make a video about it? And he's like, yeah, fine, whatever. So and he pumps all his suspension up to as hard as it can possibly go.
Yeah, I think I saw that video when you rode his bike.
Yeah. So this is the thing I'm getting at. So I rode 2 laps down this park, just like rode it not very well because Sam's bike is atrocious to ride, and it was just gross. But that video now has more views than the video that we were making. And I think that's hilarious. You're like, oh yeah, I saw your video. I didn't see the main one.
Yeah.
And it's just like, it was almost heartbreaking, actually. That happened like about a year ago, actually, now, where my video overtook the main one. And I was just like, are you kidding?
That's
like,
crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like the production value and the professionalism of it doesn't matter anymore because everyone's doing that. So it's like the story and the content is way more important.
Yeah, it's just about like, if you can connect with the audience in some way, then that's what people want to watch. But yeah, so I started doing all this, and then I actually spent a week down in California with Brian, BKXC. Just like I needed a holiday, and I couldn't find anyone else to have a holiday with. So I was like, oh, Brian, what if we come down and do a collab thing? And he was on board, and I met him, and like we went riding, and I just really liked doing it.
Yeah.
And then I came back to my job, and I was kind of like, I didn't really enjoy it all of a sudden in quite a big way.
Yeah.
And that's when that was like June. And then I said to Carl, I was like, because I came up with the privateer, and I was doing that as well. That was a big project, and it was obviously very successful.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, I can't just leave that partway through. So I said, hey, look, Carl, I just need to go and do my own thing now. I'm going to have my notice in like 3 months' time after the privateer's done. And that's what I did.
Crazy.
Yeah.
And was that a big, like, scary jump for you, or were you making enough money to where it made sense?
Oh, no, I was not making enough money. But I could... What I was going to do as well was I was going to do, like, some consulting stuff. Mm-hmm. That was the idea. But I didn't really call enough people to do that. But I was... I kind of would help some of the other YouTubers, like, basically try and bring some chaos to... No, some order to the chaos. Right?
Yeah.
Bring some chaos. No, bring order to the chaos that was, like... how these guys that had no experience with the bike industry and everything, and you know, you had the bike industry, then you had the YouTube crowd, and both of these people were not speaking the same language.
Yeah.
So I was just trying to connect the dots.
And for a bit there, it's almost like they didn't want to acknowledge that the bike industry didn't want to acknowledge that YouTube existed.
Well, a couple of brands really did.
Yeah.
So, which was cool, and I think obviously there's going to be more coming around now.
Mm-hmm.
But I think, you know, there's no right or wrong answer. If a company, it's not like a company should be doing YouTube. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Everyone can just do whatever they like. You know, like some things will work, some things won't work. Like one doesn't have to be better than the other. It's just different. Do you know what I mean? Like if you sponsor Nino Schurter, or if you
Yeah.
sponsor Richie Rude, like which person is better to sponsor?
Mhm.
Like they're completely different.
Yeah, but they both are good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's like they both reach completely different people.
Yep.
And that's it. I think everyone's just like so binary with like, oh, this is good and this is bad, that they can't just think, oh, maybe it's good for some people, maybe it's good
Yeah.
for other people,
And I think
just get on with it.
Like what I notice the most is that people are scared of the pie getting sliced into more and more pieces, but they don't realize that the pie is actually being grown by you guys or by the YouTube community because you're getting new people into it.
That's it. Yeah, it's like it's people that they have no idea. Like it still blows me away when I'm like, oh, so like Brendan Fairclough, and they're like, who's that?
Yeah.
I'm like, what? Are you kidding? And like they have no interest in crankworks or racing, but they love watching people like Josh, daily MTB rider, like make a funny video in his garage or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's just, yeah, you got, what are you going to say to the person that's enjoying that and not racing? Like, oh, you're wrong for not enjoying racing. Like, that's stupid.
Yeah, it's such a weird dynamic right now. And with some of the pro athletes now kind of like forcing their way in.
Yeah.
And it's like they're trying so hard that they're not relatable and they're not connecting very well, and you're like,
yeah. How have you been finding it? Because you've started a YouTube channel.
I honestly, like,
how
for
have you
me,
been finding it?
I kind of don't want to push that hard with it because I don't want to do it a disservice. Because, like, you know,
Okay.
like what I'm trying to say, I guess, is that being a pro athlete for so long, like I've been able to make a living in the industry doing it a certain way, like product development, feedback, going to events, and hosting group rides, all this stuff, and then to like commit to YouTube full time, it's gonna take away that a little bit because it's a huge commitment. Like you guys work really hard.
Yeah.
And so I've like dabbled a little bit. I'm like, man, this is such a huge time commitment. Like,
yeah.
It's hard. It's really hard, and I respect it a lot. So I think that you see a lot of the guys like Cam Zink or Cam McCall trying to do it now and like hiring, pretty pro staff to help them get through it and edit it and do all this. And it's almost because they're not doing it and learning the ropes and connecting, it's not working.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what a lot of, like, here's the other thing. I am like a huge fan of YouTube, like, period.
Yeah.
Like, I'll watch everything. Like, and people are like, oh, I don't have the time. It's like, I make the time.
Yeah.
Because if you understand the platform, then that's how you can succeed on it. It's not like, oh, what are the mountain bikers doing?
Yeah.
It's like, what were people like Casey Neistat and Mr. Beast and David Dobrik and PewDiePie? Like, how did these guys get to millions, hundreds of millions of subscribers?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And like, what are they doing in their videos to really make it work? And I think this is what a lot of the guys that are making it, like Cam McCall, is doing a good job.
Yeah.
Because I've chatted with him, like when I was running for Fox, like, and I chatted with him, it's like, if you're going to do YouTube, like, you have to make YouTube videos. And Cam is the person making the most YouTube type videos. Where they're funny, like the guy that's editing them is like
understands it. And
exactly.
They get it. Yeah.
Yeah. And
they're not just trying to take what they've always done and throw it on the platform and hope that it sticks.
Yeah. So that there are other pros that are making videos and they're just boring.
Yeah.
And like, it kind of baffles me. Like, did you really watch this and think, oh yeah, this is a good video?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I mean, I hate every one of my videos that I've ever made. I'm like classically like that. It's just I'll finish it and upload it and then go, oh yeah, like, oh, this is amazing. And then a week later, I'm like, oh, bleh, this is gross. But then I'm kind of quite self-deprecating and never happy with anything that I do.
Same with like on my end as well. Like I don't like rewatching anything or listening to podcasts or anything that I've done or really like any of that stuff because you're always constantly growing. So it's almost kind of like, oh man, looking back at yourself, you're like, what was I thinking?
Yeah. Like, there's some where I'm just like, I'm colorblind as well. So coloring videos is impossible.
Yeah.
And there's so many times where I'm like, oh, this whole thing is like orange.
That's funny.
You know
That's
what
interesting
I mean?
to know.
I'm just like, oh, so actually the more and more I use my camera stuff, kind of the more autos things I actually switch on.
Crazy.
And I'm just like, this camera probably knows more about coloring than I do. So it's like, I'll just trust the camera
That's
now.
funny.
And it's I've tried so many times, but at the end of the day, I'm completely blind to it. And I have no idea how to overcome it.
Huh.
So it's like, what are you going to do?
Yeah, that's one thing that I think a lot of people don't realize is that like getting super invested in it and spending all this money on equipment, and then if you don't have a story to tell or a niche or anything,
it doesn't matter. Like some of my, the warm-up bike videos, I use my phone and a GoPro 4.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
People get so bogged down and like, oh, you have to have this or you have to have that. It's like, really, most of the time, it's just get on with it.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? Like, people like, the amount of messages I get where it's like, oh, hey, I'm thinking about starting a YouTube channel. And I'm like, well, go and do it.
Yeah.
And it's like, I think that's the bigger difference. Like, again, if you look at Pilgrim, he just does it.
Yeah.
He doesn't think about it. He just gets on and does it. And now he's almost going to hit like 1 million people have clicked a button to hear more about him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's nuts. Like, people get bogged down with like, oh, this takes too much time, or they're very like already very defeatist about the whole thing before they've even started. And like, that's what holds everyone back.
Totally.
But yeah, it's and I think just a lot of the pros that are making videos, you've got to be like, what will work well on the YouTube platform?
Yeah.
Not like just making sporadic things. I don't know. There's a lot of nuances that are very hard for me to articulate.
Yeah, no, I know what you're saying.
And it's more like, if I see it and I go, oh, it's that.
Yeah.
I can't like, oh, you should do it like this. But everything should have. There's a great Casey Neistat video somewhere buried in his thing. It's like, maybe it's like how to vlog like Casey Neistat, but it's just like the basics of storytelling, where you need to have humans love things in threes, right? For everything. So you have beginning, middle, end. Oh, there's 3 things. And you need to have like, the exposition of an idea. So like, what is going to happen in this? Then you have a conflict where things are going to go wrong. How are you going to come out of this? And then you have the resolution, which is, oh, everything's solved. And those are the best videos. So like, I did a video with my housemate, Brig. Well, he doesn't live with me anymore. But, and it's clocking like 3.5 million views right now on e-bikes.
Oh, yeah, I remember that one actually.
Yeah, and it's just, the classic premise is like, oh, here's this guy, he hates pedaling up hills. It's a nightmare to ride with him because he's jumping off his bike all the time and walking up. And then we ride, but like, he's actually pretty good at going down the hill.
Yeah.
And then it's like, okay, well, what is going to happen if he tries an e-bike? We go out and try an e-bike and he's having a great time. And then he's riding down the trails exactly the same.
Yeah.
So, and then it's like, okay, would you buy one now? And he's like, oh, I don't know, like maybe. But, and the funny thing about that video is that we went to like Republic in Squamish, the bike shop. They are having like an e-bike demo day evening on the Friday night. And then I was like, yeah, Brig, why don't we make this video? Like, see, and then the next day we went out and filmed it. I edited it on Sunday. I published it on Monday.
Yeah, so it was a super quick turnaround.
Yeah, because it was just, to me, it was just so obvious what the story is. And I was just like, it doesn't take planning or whatever.
Yeah.
I just know that it's going to be this,
and you kind
and
of,
this.
when you have that in your head already, you know what shots you need to get, and it almost kind of falls into place.
Oh, yeah. So most of the time, it all comes in the editing. Like, as long as you have enough stuff that you filmed, you can put it together as an editor.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, and all of a sudden it was like blowing up, and then it hit 1 million views, and I was like, geez Louise, that's nuts. And now it's on 3 million views, you know what I mean?
Crazy.
It's nuts, all from this just simple video. But I think that's just it. It's like, people get so bogged down and they're not thinking about what they're making. They're not being intentional with the video. So like, when I make a video, I probably know what the thumbnail is going to be and what the title is going to be before I leave. Unless it's like when we did the video with you the other day, I was like, okay, we're going to go to this bike park here. I'm going to do this, and this, and then that's going to be the video.
Yeah.
And it's like, winner. But then I obviously had a crash. And like, you go, oh crap, like, plan over.
Yeah.
But yeah, I
think
think
it's super interesting for sure. And
Yeah.
it's cool to see you guys talk about it in a way where it's really intentional and thoughtful. And I think that's one thing, like, it takes a lot of time and research and practice to do that.
Yeah.
So it's like where I came into it when I started doing it, I was like, oh man, like, I'm chipping away and learning at it, but it's not my full-time thing that I'm pushing on yet, if that makes sense.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Because it's like when you're at Pinkbike, you're like, oh, this is going to overtake my full-time gig. But then it's like, it might be good if it does, but...
Yeah, like, that was never whenever I do anything, like, it's not like, I didn't start a YouTube channel to get over 100,000 subscribers. I did it because I wanted to get better at making videos.
Yeah.
And then it was like, okay, now I'm doing this, now I have an audience, what am I going to do? And I was just like, well, what do I want to do anyway? I just want to get better on a mountain bike.
Yeah.
Like, that's the thing. It's like, I'm like the first person, like, so many people comment like, oh, this guy freaking sucks at mountain biking. It's like, yeah, tell me about it. Like,
Yeah.
I'd be the first person to tell you. Like, I'd say in the grand scheme of the world, I'm a pretty capable mountain biker.
Yeah, top 1% of the population probably. Of
10.
all mountain bikers.
I say 10 generally.
Yeah.
But then it's like, when I live in Squamish, like, I live around the corner from, a world champion and like top 10 EWS racers. Like, the standard is really high. So I
Yeah.
suck, which is why I came up with like Paul the Punter to remind myself, like, oh, you just have to keep trying to get better and better. But yeah, I think that's it. But it's a lot of people struggle. Like, I know Remy did, Govan.
Oh yeah.
So I did the video with him, which is like how much faster a male EWS races. So I called it male, so I could do a female one, and then I get 2 videos out of the same thing.
Yeah.
Smart, right? But I said, he's like, oh man, he's so slow. And he said to me, like, we're good friends. Like, I'm not gonna get butthurt if top 10 in the world says I'm slow at mountain biking. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I'm like, but Remy, like, I'm like top 10, and I get Strava out, like, look where my time is versus everyone else. And I remember him just looking at it, going, he just couldn't understand.
Yeah,
it was the funniest thing. It's just like, I just don't get it. Like and he just couldn't fathom it.
That's funny.
But yeah, but I think that's just it. Like, I don't know why people would rather watch me than than him. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I
think it's just a story, and I think that you guys do a good job of conveying content, and you're intentional with it, and there's, like, you're thoughtful with that. Whereas like a pro racer, we've never focused on the storytelling aspect of riding. So it's just like, yeah, we just want to go fast and do things, and come along with me. But it's like, yeah, but you're kind of boring.
yeah.
So it's kind of like, I don't know, it's tough. Yeah, I respect what you guys do, and it's funny, like, bringing up Brian Lopes's thing the other day.
I didn't, but you've just brought it up.
Yeah,
You have just brought it up.
I know I brought it up, but like, I'm actually good friends with Brian. I've done like a lot of rides and shoots and hung out with him a bunch, and like, I understand him and I can see what he's trying to get across, but it came across like in a really bad way.
Well, yeah, when you write like
everyone's a hack.
When you write you for the word you instead of like writing out,
yeah,
like people are just gonna think you're a bit stupid.
Yeah, totally.
And like I remember when he had his signature frame with GT, and I was like, I wanted that bike more than anything. And Lopes to me was like a huge hero. Like Earth 3.
Yeah.
Was it Schladming when it was like
4-cross and all that stuff? Yeah.
But it was 4-cross, but it was Schladming, and like there were 3 starts with Lopes, and Rankin like put every one after the other, and every time he just busted everyone.
Yeah.
And like that was so cool. But then you see him like, saying things like getting angry and putting it out on social media, or obviously there was that thing with Jeff that happened.
I don't think I saw that. Oh yeah.
On the podium.
Yeah,
we don't have to talk about it, but it's just like, just be a bit nicer.
Yeah.
And like and complain about other people getting stuff, and rather be like, okay, what can I do?
Well, and I think there's there's a famine complex in the industry that exists that doesn't need to exist, and the famine complex is like, if you get sponsored, then I don't have sponsor. Yeah. And it's like, no, but like if you're out here in the YouTube community growing the pie, and you get a sponsor, then I still have my sponsor. Like,
oh yeah, for sure. It's like as I said, you do different things.
Yeah.
You speak to different people.
Yeah, and
it's
like
that's just how it is. Like,
yeah, since it's new and different, people are afraid of it. But if you just embrace the change and are cool with everyone, it's like it's a benefit. Because like, I don't know. I just always thought from the start, I was like, I understand what this is. It's a different thing, and that's cool.
Like that to me, like I'm one of the I complain about, like, I'm human. I complain about other people or whatever, like not on the internet.
Yeah.
But it's certainly things I'm like, oh, why does this happen, and blah blah blah. But then I have to force myself to be self-reflective and go, oh no, like you are only in control of your own actions. You shouldn't worry about what the other person is doing.
Yeah.
Or why they're getting this, or why you're not getting this, or something like that. So, and I always just try to learn about things that I don't know so I can understand it rather than complain about it.
Yeah.
However, things like TikTok, I'm like, this is never going to be for me.
Yeah, that's fine.
Like, just as one example where I just don't do that. But like with the whole YouTube thing, I was just like, why is it so popular? Like, learn about it and try and understand it rather than just be like, oh, that's dumb.
Yeah.
Like, that's a terrible way to operate as a human being.
And for people that like maybe don't understand or grasp the whole like economy of YouTube, like, is it okay if I ask you guys just what general YouTubers are making? Like, like...
It all depends. I mean, it all depends. Like,
yeah.
I've noticed, so my CPM on adverts shown, and remember, like, it's like maybe 50 to 60% of video views will have adverts shown. The CPM, which is cost per mille, which is cost per thousand, but in French. It doesn't make any sense, does it?
No.
It's always been CPM. Like, I've been doing this for like 10 years. It's always been CPM. It's very strange.
Huh.
But now I'm at like $10, whereas I'd say when I started, it was like
1,000 adverts shown.
You get $6 for every 1,000 adverts. Shown.
Okay.
And they have to be, you have to watch them for 10 seconds. and people can still click away. Like YouTube doesn't force people to watch adverts. You can buy YouTube Premium for $10 a month, and you don't have any adverts. You could get an ad blocker. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
So, but people that, if they're good adverts, then people will watch them, which
Yeah,
hopefully
if you're targeted correctly.
Yeah, it's like, hopefully that's getting better. But I've noticed mine, even in January, which is normally the time where everything dies, because everyone spends money in Christmas leading up to it, and then no one has any money in January or February, as in like the big advertisers.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think mine is even at $10 right now. I don't know if it's because I've got a bigger audience and they're like, oh, like we'll send this creator the better adverts because they've got a more dedicated audience. It's more likely to be,
a better storyteller, interact better.
Well, no, like the person is more likely to interact with the advert. Like that's likely what they're thinking. But again, it's like the money coming in, it's not bike industry money. This is like, Mountain Dew sponsorship, the equivalent of years ago.
Yeah.
It's money coming into the bike industry. Like all the money I spend goes into biking. Like last year I gave $2,000 US to Sorka, which is the Squamish bike club.
Yeah.
I got a video sponsored. I was like, I'm just going to give everything away to the bike club so they can pay for the trails. And then this year, I've just got another video. I can give them another $1,000, and then I got another video sponsored, so I'm going to give $500 to the Sedona bike club here.
Oh, cool!
Just because, like, I know where it comes from, and I'm like, oh, cool. Now I've got this money. I can give it to the bike industry.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? So, yeah, like I'd say $10. It all depends on your views and whatever. But if you're doing well, like if you say you get like, I don't know, 600 to 800,000 views a month, you could probably make like $3,000.
Okay.
Which is, a pretty solid like base salary, I guess, if you look at it like that.
Yeah, like $36K a year.
Yeah, but then if you, again,
and it fluctuates.
It's all different. Like if you have a massive viral video, it might not get as much money per view as a smaller video because of like, views go so fast, so many adverts can get shown. So it's kind of, there's no like, it's not like a Zeroth's law, to use physics.
Yeah.
Where X equals Y. If A equals B and B equals C, therefore C equals A.
Yeah.
It's not like that. It's just, it's kind of, you don't really know what's going to happen.
Yeah, it's interesting. And then now it seems like the YouTuber community is starting to get a little bit more influenced or involved in the bike industry and getting sponsors on that back end as well too.
So I did help with a bunch of that, right?
Yeah.
That was something I did, but I don't do it anymore. I was like, okay, I'll show everyone how to do it and be like, okay, you should do it like this is probably what you're worth. So like I from years of being in the industry, I know what the value is of everything. Like I can say that quite guaranteed. I can rationalize why something is worth something. So that's what I was doing. But then like Scott, my main partner, is like, I had no intention of having any kind of sponsors. But if I flip that word round and call them, they advertise on my channel.
Yeah.
Probably no one would complain about it. But because it's called sponsorship, everyone's like, oh, and see their butt about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I didn't even want to. But then the dude from Scott, who I've worked with for many years, like I got him doing the privateer, like, etc. He said, oh, what about you? When I was telling him about the other people, I was like, oh, well, what about you? Do you want something? I was like, well, I don't know. I don't think so. Yeah. And then all of a sudden it worked out. And then they were like his 2-year deal. And it's been great.
That's cool. That's awesome.
I love, and then I was like, oh, maybe I'll reach out to some other people. And now I've got some great partners with like Shimano and One Up just around the corner from my house, and Whistler Performance Loops that, with their bio-based, environmentally friendly stuff, which is a big thing for me nowadays. It's just like these things just like came out. I didn't expect them. Like I went out and actively seeked, but I don't call up every company trying to get a deal. I'll just call up the ones that I think I would actually like to
for sure
work with. And if they don't work with me, then it's like, well, okay, that's how it goes,
So one thing I wanted to ask you too is like, how has it been personally for you kind of getting recognized now and having a fan base?
Oh, it's so weird. Like, I'm like, me? Really? But now I very quickly I just kind of take it like, oh, that's just how it is. Like, I don't get like weirded out or anything. If someone wants to take a picture with me, I'm like, cool, like, let's have a picture. Like, maybe I can make your day. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's very strange to have been such a super fan of mountain biking, and then to have like people that are super fans of what I do. Yeah. It's very humbling. Like, I don't.
Have you had to check yourself at any point in time, like ego wise? Like.
Oh, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I mean, I'm so that's one of the reasons I'm so self-deprecating. Is just like keep myself in check. But sometimes I make jokes about it, like, oh, I made this video. It's like, yeah, of course it went amazing. It's a really good video. Do you know what I mean? But no, I don't think I'm like. I always try and give, if someone says like, oh, hello, like I try and give them, like have a conversation with them.
Yeah.
Unless I'm like,
and going to a ride.
say I want to go to the bathroom or something, and they're like, oh, hey, Paul. I was like, I'm so sorry, I have to go. But no, it's definitely very strange.
Yeah.
But one of the things that has happened is that I've definitely lost friends.
Yeah.
Like some people that like the core group that I used to go and dig bike trails and dirt jumps with, like none of them talk to me anymore.
Yeah.
And like it's definitely because I do YouTube things.
Yeah, and it's hard to watch. I don't know. There's a kind of term for it or whatever, but it's hard to watch someone close to you succeed. It's almost better to watch someone from afar succeed.
I think it's because like I'm not like being core and like no dig no ride stuff and like I'll only watch Clint Reynolds ride BMX trails and
but if they're your
Chase
friend, they
Hawk
should
is
be
amazing.
stoked for you regardless.
Yeah, but like that's just how it went. And like a lot of the Pinkbike, none of my videos go on Pinkbike now. Like I've only tried to submit 2, and one of them was with now world number 1 Tracy Hanna. Yeah. And the other one was with world number 10, well top 10 in the world Remy. And I submitted them, and they just didn't put them on the homepage. Yeah. And I was like, oh, what, like, why didn't they go on the homepage? What was missing? And they just didn't give me an answer. And it's like, oh, okay. Yeah. I mean, I still talk to them, like Brian and everyone, the head of editorial. Like I talked to him just the other day about like how the EWS is now on GMBN. Like, that's kind of, I think, kind of sucks. But yeah, like I still talk to them about all that stuff. It's just that I know some of them are just like, oh, this is you're an idiot.
Yeah, there's a weird stigma around it still for sure.
Yeah, but again, I just kind of get on with it because right now I'm in this freaking sweet van that has happened because of my YouTube channel.
Yeah, in the middle of Arizona.
Yeah, I'm chatting to you. It's March. Like I can do whatever I want today. Like when I've done insane hours just in jobs, and I know how much valuable time is to be able to if you imagine having the freedom, like that's no one could put a price on that really. Mm-hmm. So like I'm doing pretty good. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like, I can.
Yeah, you can take the punches that come with it.
Yeah,
like it's totally worth it.
Like man, you got to take the rough with the smooth on anything, because there's always. I mean, someone did. I think it was Brian that said that like every 100 good comments, 1 bad comment is the same weight, and it's probably true. Yeah. But like I also understand that where the negativity is coming from. Someone could have just had a bad day. Yeah. Like, do you know what I mean? Like they might have been driving home, been cut up 3 times, and then they walk through and something's wrong, or like they step in some dog turd or whatever, and they're like, "Oh, internet, fuck this guy." Yeah. So like I just take it as it comes. I'm just like quite real about it. Like I still get to wake up tomorrow and make bike videos for a job, which is
pretty amazing.
It's incredible.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I guess kind of wrapping this up, is there anything that you want to say to like a young kid or even an older guy that's wanting to follow a similar path to you?
Oh, to do YouTube?
Just to be involved, in the industry or...
Well, to be involved in the industry. Yeah, I do get a bunch of messages like, oh, how do you get a job in the bike industry? It's like, well, how do you get a job in any industry, I guess? You just got to keep trying over again. Like when I tried to get a job in the bike industry, I messaged... I'm pretty sure I tried to reach out to every single UK company to ask them, and then some of them would like message me back. I'm like, hey, I'm interested in a sales job, like, and they're like, oh, maybe you should go and work part-time in a bike shop at the weekend. And I was like, I'm working for like a one of the largest companies in the world. I've had some of the best sales training in the world, like maybe I'm worth a punt. And then it was actually the last I said I was going to give up trying to get a job in the bike industry, and then that the advert for Dirt and Ride BMX popped up, and I was like, okay, I'll try one more time. And then
it worked,
and then it all turned out.
That's cool.
Like, and that's the same with anything. Like, I was telling you about this video earlier. I don't know what it is. I think it's this UK BMXer. I think it was like his nickname's Pipe or Pike or something like that. He's a friend with Lima. Do you know BMXer Lima? Yeah. Like Sane Style. I can't remember. Sane Style. But he put up this video one day, and it was just like he was building these dirt jumps where he was, and he stacked this landing, and then he came back the next day and the whole landing had fallen down, and he just goes, oh, well, gotta restart stacking it, and he just puts his shovel in and he just restacks the whole thing, and he keeps going until it doesn't fall down. And like that's like such a good metaphor and a way
In
of
life,
like
yeah.
if something goes wrong, like the amount of times I've had like my editing software crash and everything's gone, you just go, well, start again, and then you just get back on it,
Yeah.
and then you'll quickly learn to get over it.
Yeah, Mark Weir told me a quote one time. He said, when someone says no, it doesn't mean no. It means you need to find a new way to ask.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, it's like,
I'd say maybe some situations, maybe not, but
yeah.
most of the time.
it's pretty funny though, for sure.
Yeah, but I just think like if you really want to do something, just go and do it. Just stop. Don't think about it. It's like I hate indecisiveness when it comes. If you really want to do it, like you should go and do it.
Yeah,
Like what are you going to do? Just sit there talking about it or complaining about someone else having it? Like it's dumb.
totally.
Just kind of crack on, I'd say.
Cool. Well, thank you for your time, Paul. I appreciate it.
No problems, Kyle.
Yeah,
Nicest
thank
guy in mountain
you.
biking.
No, just having fun. I appreciate you guys doing something new. And like growing up, if I would have had YouTube, I know I would have been one of those kids watching you guys and falling in love with it so much.
Yeah,
And
like can you? I didn't even like when I was growing up. We just had Drop In on the Extreme TV channel, and that was it. Like,
Yep.
the thought of spending £15 on a Earthed VHS was like, I can't spend £15 on a video. It's like amazing that you can just go out and get this content like all the time for free, and
yeah, literally like when I was in high school, we did like super poor. We didn't have internet. And so I would just go down with my friend Adam, and we'd just go to Safeway and open up magazines, just read the magazines in the aisle.
Yeah.
And then just put them back, and like that was our fix, And it's
it is so good. And like I mean, I'd be happy to help. Like if any of the pros want to like figure out how to do it, like I have offered, but it just takes so much commitment.
Yeah.
Like you really have to want to.
Yeah, you have to want to do it.
If you really want to learn, then otherwise there's no point.
Yeah.
Like there's no magic button. It's like you've just got to figure out that you really want to do it, and then you realize that actually you can keep your career going for much longer.
Yeah.
Outside of racing, if you have this other thing.
It's just like racing too. Like if you really want to be the best, you train hard.
Yeah, you got to train 6 days a week.
Yeah, you can't just half-ass it, because then you just are mid-pack, and it's like you don't get anything, and you're still wasting energy and time, and you're like.
Yeah, like there's no such thing. I don't think there's many things as natural talent. Like there's a lot more stories of people putting in a lot of effort and a lot of work and grinding it out and then becoming a champion. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you can't just luck into it.
Yeah, there's not as many where it's like, oh yeah, I was just super good at it, and then it happened.
Yeah.
Like a Ropalato type.
Oh yeah.
Like,
God, Mitch. Like yeah, you can't. Like there's no way you can be like nose manualing between rollers like without putting in like many hours trying to do it. Do you know what I mean? So that classic thing where people just see the end result, they don't see all the grind and effort and everything that goes into it.
Yeah, no, it's cool. I appreciate what you guys are doing. I think it's cool that you're growing such a big audience and affecting so many people. So
yeah, I
Keep
still
it
don't
up.
I still don't understand it. So when people tell me that and they give me a compliment, I don't know what to say. I'm just like, okay.
Yeah, totally. Well, sweet. That was about an hour. Awesome. Thanks, Paul.
No worries.